Hello, Joe. This is my feedback to your mock listening exam. Now, first of all, before I look at these paragraphs, you do need to have two sets of notes for the exam. First notes and final notes. And these should be in one document, and they should be sufficiently different. The final notes should be different from the first notes. So, I guess a good way to do that in the exam, when you watch the video for the first time, just take notes, and they can be very messy. They could be very rough notes, no problem. We're not assessing the quality of the notes. We're only assessing if the final notes are sufficiently different than the first notes. So once you take notes the first time, use abbreviations, symbols, arrows, anything you want. After that, sit down and write a plan. That will be your second notes, much more organized, with supporting ideas and the evidence and all of that. And then at the bottom of that document, this is all in one document, at the bottom of it you should explain briefly in 3 or 4 sentences how the final notes are different from the first notes. In other words, what did you do? First note you did this, second note you changed that. You have to explain all of that in, not in too much detail, maybe a few sentences. Okay, this is in the guidelines. So that's as far as the notes. Now let's look at these paragraphs. So first with the summary. Updated video, the speaker, okay. You have to, here you need to include the title of the video, right? Name of the speaker, again, argues, claims that, remember, should be argumentative. Originals can make their work better or better creativity, and people should learn from them. Okay, fine. You could say this more clearly. The main idea was about how creativity, even though it might look like procrastination, there's actually a creative process going on behind the scenes. What looks like procrastination is actually creative thinking, original thinking going on, right? Something along these lines. The first way out of the 3 is to be late to the party. Okay, he said that, but that's just a metaphor he used. Imagine somebody who has not seen the video, they will read this and they'll say, what party are you talking about? I mean, it's just a metaphor. In this case, what he was trying to say, to be late to the party, means you don't have to be the first person to do something. He was talking about maybe creating a product or a service, and he gave the example of Facebook and another example. You do not have to be the first person to invent a product or a service. You wait and see what the competition is doing, and then you improve on that. In that sense, you are late to the party. It's just a metaphorical expression. But in this paragraph, out of context, when you say that and somebody reads this, they'll be like, what party is this? Okay, so you could phrase it with your own words here. The first advice that the speaker gives is for original thinkers are not necessarily the first to create a product or a service. They usually wait to see what exists or what's available, and then they make improvements on that. So that's what you can say. Okay. And you've said that here. But when you talk about the party, it becomes very strange, right? By saying that, he claims that people do not need to be the first. To be the first in what, right? In making a product or a service. It is enough to be different, or rather, it is enough to do something different to an existing product or service and make it better, make improvements on it, right? So you should say something very specific here. Okay. But you're right that this is a supporting idea, and it's an important one. Second advice is to feel doubt and fear. Sure. He's saying doubts and fears are normal. He's not saying you should be scared. He's saying it's okay to feel doubt and fear, right? Because that's a normal part of creativity. That's part of the process. You're doubting. Am I going to succeed? It's okay to be afraid and to doubt. You do not need to capitalize this. He exemplified the survey conducted by them. Who is them? We don't know who they are. By them, which group of people were asked to create new business ideas? Okay. Sure. You could definitely paraphrase this to make it more grammatical, right? Now, this is fine. I understand what you're saying, but remember, even if you do make the sentence grammatical, remember that for this paragraph, we do not include examples and evidence. We only focus on the supporting idea itself. And here we've actually explained this experiment, this example. So we do not do those in the summary. We just look at the supporting ideas. So you will need just to expand a little bit on the fact that it's okay to feel a little bit afraid and to have doubts. That's a natural part of the creative process. It can help you innovate, create new ideas, blah, blah, blah. You could say something like that to expand on that so that you do not end up mentioning this, which is an example. This can be mentioned in the evidence paragraph, but not in the summary. Finally, in conclusion, speaker, again, why are you capitalizing it? The speaker concludes that in order to make the world brighter or better, easier, constancy would be helpful. Here it's a little bit vague. What do you mean by constancy would be helpful? Are you trying to say that they should keep trying and not be afraid to have bad ideas? Because they can keep having bad ideas, but eventually a good idea will come. Maybe something like that. But constancy out of context sounds a little bit difficult to understand. What constancy? What type of constancy are you talking about here, right? So you want to make this more clear. Here you're saying it very well. So I think instead of constancy, if you use the word persistence, that would make things more clear. Right? Finally, the speaker concludes that original thinkers, in order to make the world better, or to better rather than brighter, because brighter is just about light. So in order to make the world better, original thinkers should not be afraid to keep trying. Even if some of their ideas are bad, they should persist, or something like that, right? So persistence is what you're trying to say here. Okay, fine. But I will take this summary. It's actually not a bad summary at all. You have included a lot of the important ideas, so it's actually quite a good summary. Now let's look at in the exam you will need to write an identification paragraph, so this is not enough. You will have to say, remember, 75 to 100 words. That's the second paragraph you write. We call this the identification paragraph. So you will say, one of the supporting ideas that the speaker mentions is that whatever the idea is. The evidence he uses is blah, blah, blah. First, second, third. So all of that will take you up to 100 words. But this should be in the form of a paragraph. Okay. And then finally, you should write more or less a 200-word paragraph evaluating the sufficiency, relevance, and representativeness. You've done this okay here, but obviously you need to expand. So for all these things that you're saying, if it's sufficient, why is it sufficient? If it's relevant, why is it relevant? A little bit more. You've done a good job to identify the three areas, but you need to explain more. You have 200 words, so use the 200 words. Why is, for instance, the provided data, why is that representative? You're saying it's in many senses true. What does that mean? It's true in many senses. Why is the example he gives, the examples, the evidence to support this, why is that representative? For instance, why is Facebook and Google, why are their examples, their experiences typical of original thinkers? You have to explain that, right? Now, how whether you say it's representative or not is up to you. We're not going to judge you based on your answer. We're not going to say, oh, he said it's representative, but it's not, so we'll not give him the points. That's not how we grade. But we do insist on an explanation. Whatever you say, it's up to you. Whether you want to say it's representative, it's fine. If you say it's not, that's fine as well. But you do have to explain. And here what I'm not saying is this is just not enough. You need to expand on these explanations, okay? Overall, Akjol, I am seeing progress. I've said this to you before, and this is really getting better and better and better. Your summaries are getting better. Your writing is more clear. I mean, this is way better than it was before when you started the year. So I think you should consider this a partial success at least. And you should take heart from the fact that you have stuck it out. You continued doing these assignments even if there was no chance of passing, but you still stuck at it, and I think you're seeing the benefits of that. My advice for the future would be just continue working, and you will inevitably get even better than this. Okay? So congratulations on your progress, and just keep working. That's my advice to you. Okay? Good luck.